Oh, okay. There yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that's right.
Not today. We'll just have to call out if we are. I said it straight.
If anybody asks, just
I didn't sign up for this.
It's not going to be sold as
why would we
Each one of us can.
That's a good thing out of
Are you trying to show us that?
Everything stops. They're
Sweater. I have brought socks.
Hi, George.
Yes,
I haven't been ignoring you. I'm trying to finish work. Tomorrow's my last day. Sorry? I'm off for 2 days. I didn't get a summer last summer because of the almost 7 point in time in the car. Sprint. So you have to be careful with doing it. I know it's your birthday, but you share a birthday with my brother.
Oh yeah? Oh no way. It's a great day.
And I talked to my dress. Brought back like 4 of them.
In Paris, I guess.
Yeah.
With everyone.
His most recent trip is just coming back now. Coming back Monday. His friend is one of his close friends. Has 4 weeks off before he goes to pilot training in RCF. So they last minute trip. Brazil, Chile, Argentina. So I'm like, he said, I gotta go to Africa. I'm like, right. So Conan was in Rhode Island and for a conference, and then they're coming back.
That's great. Coming back.
No, come back here, just here for the summer. But he goes, he goes, everybody's on HCO. It's a very, very challenging line. Well, he's lucky because he was working, he has his nexus and his express nexus. In terms of
Now it's like, now it's finding the wrong word.
more challenging. How's your dad? Oh, that's fine. And where do you guys go home? Where? What's that? Specifically, you know, up the mountains, olive grove. Kind of north of beautiful. They still have outhouses though. Because, you know, the world hasn't caught up there. The world hasn't caught up. But Calaman is beautiful. So it's good. Are you staying or no?
I'm going, but I'll be able to have to go to
Oh, I saw the program, the one that was on the website. There was one that was not?
That's a Kalamata program.
Oh, okay.
That's a Kalamata program. That's a 2-week program. They have one that's a 2-week program. It's the same idea though, same concept.
So part of it is a funding trip?
It's like my flight, the accommodations, food, the touring, the transportation.
The Brasil, claro, no, Brasil, cada que me fico ali, aqui é que só está com o seu carinho, Brasil, claro, mas vamos ir para o André, puxa, vamos ir para o André, 22 months. I was 23, it was my worst year, worst ever, but you get it out of your system. Out of your system, go from there. We're going to go to beach too. We're just going at the end of July. We're coming back on the 14th, from the 13th or 14th of August. No, so we're going to go to Sophia's family's from Lefkada on the Ionians. So we're coming back here soon in Key. Vamos até Nelson for vacances.
There you go.
Vacances. And then we're going to do, hey buddy, it's a fellow adventures of Korea. The last 2 days we're going to spend in Athens on the kind of Riviera and Vakisa. And we're finishing our vacation and when you have to see are starting, so we're going to cross over for a couple of days. And then we're going to come back and everybody says Greek food, so I'm going to be like, what's that going on? Wow. The fellow. No transition. No transition. We fly back and then the next day is great.
It's alright.
I must get legal. I just want to leave. I want to go up there and take us to where they want to maximum. You don't want the second one. They open up there in the morning. Let's go and see it. And, you know.
Parlavo francese.
They're rare. I don't think they're good.
First thing, it's honestly a year. Just 2.5 months.
I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed that. I just put it up.
You just want to show that the HVAC's Oh, sorry. Actually, here and here, that's where the cook. No, that's right. They could have been very nice. Jackson, I forget what there was a screeching sound when I first heard it. So I was just relaxed. And I was eating that was going on. That was
I agree. Yeah, but it's all fun. Sorry.
I received your training.
That's good. That's She's very good. She was on there exact for the Green Club as well. Social media wise, she's very good. She's a great addition. You should be here anyway. It's just studying here.
These kids started to do this week.
He's at the bar.
That's what I say. That's the best business to be.
Give him 23 shots at
You are it, eh?
Yes, that's not it. I'm just wrapping them now because they were champions league. You like? Yeah. Yeah, you went. How was it?
All is good? All right. Okay. And good.
Canis, second one.
That's right. I always like to see the back.
Right? And if it is, you take it off. We are going to in the meantime, yeah, you take them, whoever you're taking, you're putting back.
Na breku finita, che poi na breku che brigare,
Vediamo i rotari con la guida che
Io mi stavo proprio per me,
Yes. Yes. Christina's okay. Christina's very she's easy to get along with. And I think just finishing her season, she's got a lot to get her to. I think so. All right.
How are you? See you. See your face. Nice to meet you. I got your. I had meetings, so.
Yes, I'll be with Nicole on the weekend. So I'll let them know like once you find out a date. I'll with my brother and then I can text them.
You have to read them in the other.
Yeah,
Why? Because Monday, there's graduation from
She's coming back Monday anyways.
Tuesday morning,
Yeah. So Wednesday, you probably would have.
It's official secret. Please take your seats so we can start. Please take your seats so we can start. It's now 7:22, and this meeting will come to order. Thank you all for coming, showing your interest in our community, your love for our community. We're ready to start. I'm going to ask Father Alex to start with the opening prayer.
Στο όνομα του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος. Αμήν. Βασιλεύ ουράνιε, παράκλητε το πνεύμα της ελιτίας, πανταχού παρών και τα πάντα πληρώνω, ο θησαυρός των αγαθών και ζωής χορηγός, ελθέ και σκήνωσον εν ημίν και καθάρισον ημάς από πάσης κυλίδος και σώσοντας εις ημών. O Heavenly King, comfort the Spirit of truth, who are everywhere present and fills all things, treasure of blessing and giver of life, come and abide in us and cleanse us from every impurity and save our souls of good glory. Through the prayers of our Holy Father, Lord Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us. Amen. Καλησπέρα σε όλους. Good evening.
This is confirmation of the quorum. As of last count, we had 107 in attendance, including proxies. So we only need 75 for ordinary business and 100 for bylaw and property matters. So we do have a quorum. So we start with the confirmation of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, if you will, the Audit and Finance Committee would love to make a motion to move our report, which is 11C, to before the Treasurer's report item 10. We believe this will provide some context that supports what the Treasurer was reporting to the membership.
Okay. This is a committee motion, so it doesn't require a second.
Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned at the last meeting, there are only 2 times a year that the membership has a chance to ask questions or comments. Can hear. So I should different
Thank you. So I suggested that we add an item called for the good of the HCO, and I make that motion again for tonight.
So I guess we'll put it under other items, right? Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
That's it.
27. Your number, sorry? 27.
27.
Or 26, excuse me.
So first we'll vote on the motion by Dean to move the audit committee's report just before the treasurer's report. All in favor? Okay. Any against? It's carried. And then for the motion by Nick Floridas to add at the end of the under other items for the third order discussion for the third order. All in favor? I think it's carried. The minutes have been distributed. I think you all had a chance to look at them. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Any corrections to the minutes? There being no corrections, the minutes stand approved as distributed.
Mr. Chairman, could you please speak to the mic? We cannot hear you. Some of the ones that we do, some we don't.
Okay. I was asking, you've all seen the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Any corrections? There being no corrections, the minutes stand approved as distributed. There were no items arising from the last minutes. So the next order of business are officers' reports, starting with the President's address.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for attending. I do have a lot to talk about, so I will get right to it. We will have several talking points brought up tonight that will need addressing in the near future. For example, the schoolhouse property, the Maryland property, the future and direction of the banquet center, and increasing our members and stewards. Before I get to these points, I want to start by thanking the incredible people who keep our community running day in and day out. First, to our administration staff, a special thank you to Emelia, who has been working mostly on her own during this time while Natsika remains on leave. The workload has been immense, and Emelia's dedication is truly appreciated. We are also incredibly grateful to Penny Reclitas, who has stepped in and taken on a significant share of the work. Her support has made a real difference. Thank you to Nancy Pazoulis, who manages the constantly shifting schedule of Father Alex, while still keeping all our church events organized and running smoothly. It's no small task, and she handles it with grace and efficiency. To Lafayette, thank you for taking such great care of our church. Despite having 2 or even 3 events in a single day, he often stays on site the entire time. His quiet dedication does not go unnoticed. And of course, what can I say about Crisanti? She is simply amazing to watch and help keeps our church running. To Nico Castellucio, thank you for your unwavering dedication. It's easy to overlook what it takes to be here for so many church services, faithfully chanting and enriching our services with your voice. As well, thank you to our church choir for also beautifying our services and community events. Let's not forget the work being done at the banquet center. There was a time we had a full team on site. Now for nearly 2 years, Peter and Mary have managed all aspects of the center, from operations to service, supporting both our clients and our community. Bless you. To Father Amakun, God bless you for your help. You provide us with wisdom and guidance, and we don't acknowledge that enough. And finally, Father Alex. He is a constant reminder that life could always be harder and busier. I do not know how he does it. I've worked closely with him for over 10 years, and I can honestly say he's the main reason I stepped up to serve as president. We are incredibly lucky to have him, and every time I attend an event outside our church, I hear the same thing. You have the greatest priest. Father Alex, God bless you for everything you do day in and day out. Your dedication to God, your love for all of us, our church, and this community is unquestionable, and we are all better for it. Now, because I have a lot, I'm going to kind of go through this quick. I really want to thank Philopalos. These ladies do so much, not only for our church, but for the Ottawa community at large. Our church committee who do so much behind the scenes to make sure that services and sacraments run smoothly. I'd like to thank Tassie and all the Sunday school teachers. Thank you to the Seniors Association for your constant support, and of course John Katabakis, who does way too much. Thank you to Speedy Goen and all the Greek language school teachers. Thanks to Eleni and all our incredible dance school instructors. Thank you, of course, to all our PAN associations who are also dedicated and play an integral part in our community. I'd like to thank the entire AHEPA family for their continued support. And I would also like to thank our Gold Plate Committee, Ike, Nick, Bill, Dean, and Tom, and Wayne, who continue to bring in our biggest revenue generator. We cannot thank this group enough. I can't believe how this event has elevated. Thank you to Bessie Yovanopoulos, Chris Anastasiou, and Kathy Katakassis for all their work to help Gold Plate run smoothly as well. Now, of course, with all this being said so quickly, there may be certain individuals or groups that I may have forgotten. If there was someone you feel should be recognized, I encourage anybody to mention them on the mic later on when we have open mic. Now, I would like to update everyone on the church basement HVAC system. I am happy to report that the system is now fully operational. There's only a small amount of drywall and painting left to complete. The project came in just under budget. A huge thank you goes out to Nick Kaitas, who not only re-engineered the system to work with what we already had, this is what made the project significantly more affordable, but he also generously donated a large portion of the cost himself. His expertise, time, and personal contribution were keys to the success of this project. He's also been observing the system remotely and is pleased to report that it's working very well. We got rid of the sound. A big thank you to Philopalos, who fundraised the remainder of the project and paid all the vendors on our behalf. Georgina, it was a pleasure working with you, and I truly look forward to collaborating again as our church still has some infrastructure needs that will require attention. Now, in addition to the money collected by Philopalos, I also received a few donations from individuals that gave directly to the HCO, totaling $2,200. These funds will be used to address heating in the main stairwell. Again, thank you to everyone who contributed to this project. It's a great example of what we can achieve when we work together. All right, I started by saying we have multiple important issues that need to be addressed, and we all learn to start thinking about what we're going to do with these things. So let us begin with the schoolhouse property. As you all know, we had a fire a few months ago. The house was deemed unsafe and has to come down. Just last week, George Gaddis and I met with Councillor Riley Brockington to discuss changing the height zoning. Within a week, Riley got back to us saying that a motion was passed to allow the schoolhouse property to be built up to 9 floors without further pushback. Now please keep in mind, this still has to be ratified by the city. So let's not count our chickens before they're hatched. If this motion does fully pass, it will make the property far more valuable than it currently is. So as a community, we will have to decide the direction on this piece of property in the near future. In the meantime, Alex will report on exactly where we are in the current demolition process. Now, as for the Maryland property, this has been vacant for a couple of years now. The last tenants unfortunately left it in disrepair. It is still unrentable as we do not have the funds to fix it. Again, we need to make some decisions on the future of this property as well. Keep in mind recent zoning developments as the neighborhood recently updated its density and usage. Andrea will speak on this later. Now, as for the future of the event center, everyone has an opinion on the event center. We can keep running it as we are, or we can invest in more staff and a business plan to generate more revenue. The idea of renting it out as a shell has already been tried. There has been interest, but never any commitment. And most importantly, how do we get more members and stewards? There are clearly more of us, but we have less households that contribute. This is a question that has been asked more than any other, and I think it starts with a change in attitude towards what it means to be a steward to your church. Dean will be speaking on this later. So that brings me to the attitude. We need to stop asking, what do I get from my church and community? That is the wrong question. And frankly, it's harmful and a horrible way to think. And sadly, I hear it way too often. The right question is, what has the church given me or all of us? When I reflect on my life, I can tell you that almost everything I hold dear is because of God, the church, and this community. I was raised here. I grew up going to Greek school, Greek dance, with people who till this day are still my close friends. As an adult, I played with one of our Greek soccer teams, again, with people I grew up with. I met my wife because she became friends with one of my cousins months before we even met. We crossed paths at a community dance, and then later at baptisms, like so many of us do. Today, I have an incredible wife, beautiful children, and a strong faith-centered family. I owe it all to my church. Just look around this room. We are all friends, cousins, ubadi, godparents, godchildren, lifelong companions. Many of us are married to the people we met in Sunday school, Greek dance. These lifelong bonds are something truly unique and something many of my non-Greek friends deeply admire. I owe everything to my church, and that's why I work so tirelessly for it. We do have a beautiful church and a vibrant community. It deserves more than just being helped to scrape by. It deserves to thrive. Our church and community raised us, support us, and continues to care for us when we need it most. We must stop taking it for granted. Our first generation, they built this church with their blood, sweat, and tears. They had very little, yet they gave everything. And now, most of us pay more each month for our cell phone than we give back to the church that shaped our lives. We can do better. We must do better. Let's give back to the church and community that has already given us so much. In closing, I want to acknowledge and thank all of our dedicated members and stewards. We all love our church and community and volunteer tirelessly for it. I want to encourage each of you to reach out and inspire others around you to get involved. We all know people who care, but sit on the sidelines, while a small dedicated group carries the load year after year. It's time to broaden that circle. Let's encourage wider participation and help lighten the load so we can grow even stronger together. Thank you. I will just quickly say, if anybody does have questions based on what I have to say, or either my vice presidents to say those until we're all done.
Thank you for that inspiring and eloquent talk.
Chair, and I want to say, Dean, congratulations. What a great presentation. Thank you very much. Just one thing that I might add, you know, we all love Father Kuhn. Would it be possible to give him a microphone so we can hear him?
I will address that. I will address that. I promise.
I mean, I know he has a wonderful message to give us, and we all love to hear, but most of the time we can't.
Just want to address that now,
just to mention since we are.
I'll address that after. Just remind me. Yeah, for sure. Just before I get into it, I do want to say a quick little happy birthday to Adoni Vassiliadi. Good boy, here at the General Assembly on his birthday. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Before I begin my official updates, as the co-chair of this year's festival with Andrea, I'd like to say a few words about this year's festival, our 50th anniversary. Organization is well underway, and we are incredibly honored to have Olympia Homes and Argos Carpets as our presenting sponsors, along with many other generous supporters who who have stepped forward to celebrate this milestone year with us. Our members are the backbone of this festival. It's your dedication, hard work, and love for our community that has built this event into what it is today. We hope to see you all again this year, volunteering, dancing, laughing, and enjoying yourselves as we honor 5 decades of Greekfest. As always, we're looking for more volunteers to help bring this festival to life. Whether it's your first time or your 50th, there's a place for everyone to contribute. It's a great way to be part of something special and to connect with our community. If you're interested, please reach out to myself or Manu Cardadas after the meeting. One way that we're making this occasion even more special this year is through a commemorative 50th anniversary booklet. It will be gifted to all of our members, and it is dedicated to every volunteer and supporter, past and present, whose devotion has shaped our community story. Again, after tonight's General Assembly, if you wish, you can come and see one of us and we can coordinate. We are selling full page, half page, and quarter page messages for purchase to honor your family and your loved ones. We are also thrilled to announce that tickets, both individual and tables, are now available for our comedy night under the tent, taking place on August 21st between our 2 festival weekends, so the Thursday between our 2 festival weekends. This is not a regular Greekfest night. It is a private event that tickets can be purchased now or at the door if available. The one and only Enzo Tsaroukas will be headlining this special event. It promises to be a night full of laughs and celebration as we gather under the tent for a one-of-a-kind show in honor of our 50th anniversary. Now on to my updates. I'd like to begin with the fire in the schoolhouse at 1335 Prince of Wales. In the early hours of March 28th, I think it was like 4 a.m. or something, we all got notified. Our executive was made aware of the fire at the property. We acted immediately to contain the situation and began planning next steps. Since then, we've secured the site to ensure safety, which was a mandatory requirement from bylaw, and have been working through the required processes to demolish the building. All the locates and the service disconnections are now complete, and we are in the final stages of securing our demolition permit. Once approved, the demolition will be carried out by HMRS Construction, who is the lowest of the 4 bidders. The total construction cost to backfill, the disconnection of all services, and a few other rentals will be approximately $43,000, which you can see in front of you breaks out as HMRS's winning bid at $29,900, our rental cost for fencing, which was $12,723, city costs at $500 for your grand total of $43,123.50. Next, a quick note on grant funding. We continue to work with GTA Strategies at a monthly cost of $790 plus HST. With their support, we've already secured 2 grants this year. $55,000 for the Experience Ontario Greekfest grant and $16,000 for our summer student program. Quickly on this, I'm happy to say that this year we had a very large amount of applicants and we hired 3 candidates for the positions. They have started working over the last few weeks and are doing an amazing job so far. Now on to capital projects. Over the past few years, as we all know, we have completed many capital upgrades across our community. We are now entering a phase where our annual needs are lowering. However, there are still a few costly repairs remaining. For 2025, the following have been identified as high priorities. But as always, we're open to suggestions and feedback. Firstly, the parking lot repairs and line painting. We're looking to schedule this potentially for post-Greekfest with preliminary pricing coming in at $45,000 to $50,000. This will include fixing all the cracks and repainting the front and back parking lines. Next, I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't have a wall right now that's open, because that fell off the tracks, and unfortunately is unrepairable. We have tried repairing it, but unfortunately it looks like we're going to need a full replacement. This will budget between $70,000 to $100,000. And lastly, banquet hall, sorry, not a wall of the church, but banquet hall, sorry, not the wall's falling. But the banquet hall, the demising wall that splits our unit, the hall here into a half or a third. Lastly, this will be funded, lastly, the main church door replacement. This will be funded by the generous legacy of the late George Dimatakos. Father Alex had been in close communication with George's father, John Diamandakos, who unfortunately passed away just last week. May his memory be eternal. This scope includes a new aluminum frame for the doors, converting the side doors into fixed panels with new windows that will feature two stained glass scenes. And also, we will be reusing and repurposing our interior doors with new hardware. This project allows us to preserve our heritage while ensuring durability through Ottawa's winters. You'll see on the screen a schematic sketch. He's not only good at numbers, he can draw our treasure put together. This was shared with Mr. Diamandakos as an inspiration before he passed away. This work is long overdue. As many of us know, on rainy or snowy days, water leaks through those existing doors into our basement church ceiling. As mentioned, this project will be funded through the Diamandakos GIC as per John Diamandakos' wishes. However, with that being said, due to the recent circumstances, we will give the family time and re-engage to ensure that they are okay with this approach. And that concludes my update. Thank you to everyone again for your time and your trust and your continued love for our community. And I will pass it over to Andrea for his update.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. So I'll jump right in. Hellenic Event Center. 2025 thus far has been a fairly successful year and is trending in a positive direction. This year we have completed and have booked events totaling in $480,000 of revenue. Our skeleton crew of Peter and Mary work tirelessly booking and running events. The great work they put on is very clear in the number of repeat events and clients we have. As I've said in the past, the Event Center is operating as a business, and we ask everyone to remember and respect that. It is not a public area for individuals to stroll through the lobby while an event is taking place, or have members enter into our staff offices during business hours and events to interrupt and chat and demand certain actions from them. If this community wants this center to run and operate as a business, we must treat it as such. Facility and property maintenance. Facility and property maintenance is an ongoing challenge, as we all know. As progress is made, more issues arise, creating the feeling of 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. The board will be putting together a list of deficiencies from around our property. This list will be very long. Our buildings are showing their age more and more every day. We'll be speaking with professionals in this field to assist us in creating this list. The purpose of this document is to create an understanding for members on what is coming soon in regards to our property and infrastructure, and so future boards can plan and budget for repairs and maintenance. Additional properties. As we've all touched on the Maryland rental property, unfortunately it still sits empty in need of a major renovation. There's not much else to say on this topic. The board has looked into a few options for this property, but they all require an injection of cash to get anything off the ground. In the coming week, the executive has a meeting with a real estate advisory and consultant firm to discuss strategic options for all of our properties, but specifically the 1335 Prince of Wales corner. On a fun note, the Hellenic Initiative of Canada is hosting a benefit concert in Montreal. On October 25th, 2025, at Place des Arts Event Center, renowned Greek singer Alkistis Protopsalti will be performing. Our HCO members can participate by attending the show. Parnassos has secured a bus for members to attend the show in Montreal. Information regarding the bus and the show will be sent out to our members in the next week or so. Thank you all for being here today. I wish you all a happy and safe summer, and we're looking forward to working with you at Greek Fest in August. At this point, Danny, Alex, and I will take questions in regards to what we said today.
So the floor is open for questions or comments.
Just a question for Alex. Alex, do you need approval for the 1335, the 43,000? Do you need a motion on approval for that, or?
No. It was an emergency that we had to complete because the fire marshal team that we had to start the process.
But we're talking about demolition now.
Yeah, the demolition of the property is unsafe. We have to demo it. So we got a notice.
So you don't need a
No, we don't need a motion.
Yeah, I've got to make a motion.
I appreciate that. But no, the fire marshal deemed it as a collapsible unsafe state. The only reason why it's actually not down, it wasn't put down immediately, or torn down immediately, was because of the heritage status. So we've had to go through the process, but that is the last step.
I was here that night and we actually got lucky because the fire marshal was ready to bring in a crew and tear it down, and that would have been at the city's expense, which probably would have been double or triple what we saw. And they got a call, no, you can't touch the building, it's heritage. And the fire marshal's like, it's kidding, and he had to scream at everybody to get away from the building. So in hindsight, while the heritage status loomed over us poorly, it helped us. It allowed us to get a much better price, but it has to come down because it's still moving.
The Maryland property, what's the property tax on it, and how long has it been sitting vacant now?
February 2023.
It's been vacant since February 2023, the property tax.
We're paying vacancy tax.
Yeah, we pay the property tax and the vacancy tax.
Yeah, it was
No property, it's
$11,000
$11,000.
properties.
Per year, it's 11,000.
Just renovated.
For both properties, but for Maryland, it was, I think the property tax was about 3,000, just over 3,800, and then the vacant tax which we're paying on top of it right now was another 3,400 or something. We can get you the exact numbers. We have all the.
And the prospects for it sitting empty will be for how much longer?
We're going to find out after some meetings we have with this committee, and like I said, we need to talk about it, and we're going to have more direction when we get direction from this consultant.
Thanks.
And one good thing, we got the vacancy taxes removed from the school's property because there's no more building, so that's been waived. I'll quickly address since it's fresh. Trying to do with Father Abakum's mic, he does have a mic. Last church, his batteries had run out. Sometimes it's user error. I was scrambling to get it back. Anyways, the difficulty in having a voice like Father Alex and a voice like Father Abakum is no easy feat. I encourage anybody who has ever worked as a sound engineer, which I did all through high school and afterwards in churches. Father Alex is louder through Father Abakum's mic than Father Abakum's. So I've had to play with the gains. I put his sensitivity down, his volume was up so high. There's a borderline feedback, and I'm sure you've all heard it. And it changes with the number of people that are in church. It's a struggle, and there's nothing I can do. Unless I'm constantly on it, and I think a lot of you have seen me, and even when I'm there, I can't control it. I'm doing my best. But the problem is, he just doesn't have a big voice, and that's all I can say on that. I'm trying, believe me, I'm trying.
Yes. Any other questions or?
I just ask one quick question. So I just want to ask one quick question. I heard you, Alex, talk about the capital projects that are important. In our November GA, in the minutes, it says that the rooftop units at the banquet center require closure, repairs, and replacement.
So
where does that fit in the grant?
So those repairs were done. Unfortunately, we had.
Just what I was speaking to, because he's not here.
Yeah. So those repairs were done. We were hoping we had one of our vendors, Crestway, who came on site to review them. We were hoping we could get one more winter out of them, but unfortunately, it would have been one of the weeks in December. The last 2 units went kaput, and we weren't able to salvage them anymore. And essentially, we had 3 units on our roof that were red tagged in a sense, so we weren't allowed to even try refixing them. So those 3 units have now been replaced and repaired. So we have 3 new units on this roof, rooftop units. So those were done. And if anyone wants to see the numbers, we can share them. I think they all came in at around $70,000 for all 3 of the top units, and that included also repairing the exhaust in the kitchen at the same time when damages were found.
Thank you.
Okay, there will be no more questions. The audit and finance committee.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Pierre, and I'm a member of the audit committee. I trust that you all got a copy of the report. So, dear members of the Hellenic community of Ottawa, on behalf of the audit and finance committee, we're pleased to provide you since the last GA and outlining some key observations and recommendations from our review of the community's financial operations. Audit statements for fiscal year 2024 were not available at the time of this report being prepared. This has been the scope of our work. I won't bore you with our committee's mandate, but what I'll say.
If you might do it farther from the mouth.
Is this better? All right. So, as I said, I won't bore you with our committee's mandate, but what I'll say is that the point of this exercise being the audit report is to highlight a few key areas and facilitate the constructive dialogue, and hopefully some good actions can come out of it. I'll dive right into it. In terms of engagement with the community, since the last GA, the committee has met with the community treasurer and the members of the executive to review the financial position of the community. On June 19, we hosted a town hall to provide members with a detailed review of the finances by line of business. This forum allowed us to address questions, gather feedback, hear suggestions directly from the membership, and some of those have made it into our report. The work of the committee and the town hall focused on 2022-2024 operations, with the goal of establishing a baseline for analysis, and as such, we're not in a position to yet assess the performance for the year 2021. In terms of key findings and operations, when it comes to compliance, no violations of bylaws or legislation were identified by the committee. However, concerns were raised by members regarding contract awards and sole sourcing, which merited further review and possibly drafting new policy to ensure transparency and fairness. In addition, the committee conducted a review of the board meeting minutes for the calendar year 2024 and year-to-date for 2025. Overall, the minutes demonstrate general adherence to governance. However, we have identified the following items for improvement. In the February 2024 board meeting, the agenda and the minutes from the previous meeting were neither formally moved nor seconded, as required for proper record keeping and procedural compliance. Also, in the January 2025 meeting, although there was a double recorded motion and approval to proceed with the HVAC system upgrades, there was no supporting documentation regarding the projected costs. This submission could pose challenges for future compliance reviews and financial oversight. The Executive Committee at its next meeting will offer a correction to the February 2024 minutes that includes the approval expenditure limit and the supplier that the contract was awarded to. Furthermore, it was identified by the auditor that the WSID filings were not up to date, and also we were unable to obtain confirmation that there were sufficient directors and officers by the insurance. And then after compliance comes internal controls, we did not identify any specific control deficiencies, but we do stress the critical need for standardized financial policies and consistent reporting protocols. This is just to enhance our ability to detect anomalies, ensure transparency, and support more informed decision making. This became particularly evident when we did our year-over-year financial comparisons, which I spoke to earlier, and we observed just a few inconsistencies when it came to certain line items recorded across different fiscal periods. And all that speaks to data integrity, which needs to be enhanced. Thank you.
So my name is Dean Casas. I too am a member of the audit committee, and I'm doing part 2 of our report. I want to thank everybody for coming. As Spiro mentioned, we did a town hall last week, June 19th, and the goal of that meeting was to try and help members understand how the finances of the Hellenic Committee work, where we have risks, and where we should be addressing future efforts. So first one, comparing 2024 operations to the 3-year average was the model that we chose to use. Operational revenues and expenses are largely in line, assuming there were no major disruptions when compared to the 3-year average. We do want to remind you that this is based on bookkeeping records, not on the audited statements. Secondly, our 5 core lines of business, the church, community operations, banquet center, Gold Plate Dinner, and Greek Fest, can collectively break even or generate a modest surplus year over year when looking at the 3-year average. However, the margin for error is razor thin. A 10% drop in revenue for any of these lines could be the $60,000 or $70,000 shortfall. That leads to our primary concern. The community is financially vulnerable. While operations may appear sustainable in stable years, we lack reserves. This leaves us unable to absorb even the modest capital expenses or reduce our long-term debt. Our recent history of leaks and floods has certainly demonstrated that. Currently, the community carries some $800,000 in combined debt across our mortgages, loans, and line of credit. This restricts our flexibility and ability to invest in the future and respond to unforeseen events. We also identified several structural challenges. Our financial reporting lacks some consistency across the business lines. This makes it difficult to measure performance, identify trends, or compare years, or to set up models for budgeting going forward. Clearer, more standardized reporting is needed to guide better decision-making. The hope is that the newly engaged bookkeeping firm of BDO, who's with us here tonight, will address these issues, but we shouldn't count on just that to overcome this issue. We do need more diligence, both from our committee and from the board. The banquet center in particular requires attention. It has not consistently generated a positive cash flow, and is the one line of business that has potential for significant growth, or if it is deemed that it cannot generate regular and significant positive cash as it once did, it needs to be reevaluated as to its value. Our analysis suggests there should be concerns about staffing to food cost ratios, but these are inconsistencies in tracking revenues and expenses to the appropriate line items, and make it difficult to have well-researched recommendations. A thorough review of the business line is needed to determine its long-term viability and strategic value. In summary, we found that while day-to-day operations may break even across the 5 lines of business, the current model does not allow for debt reduction, reserve building, or investment in future capital needs. To better prepare for long-term financial health, we would make several strategic recommendations.
Hello, I'm Joe Salas. I'm also a member of the Finance and Audit Committee. I will give you our recommendations. We have 9 recommendations. First one, Banquet Center Strategic Review. Establish the Banquet Center Task Force to assess operations, performance, and long-term capital needs. This review should include cost-benefit analysis and consider potential opportunity costs. Number 2, new line of business clarifications. Create 2 new reporting categories. Community events, so these are 1 per year events, for instance, the New Year's dance concerts that we have. Second would be mission critical programming, so ongoing initiatives essential to the HCO's mission, Greek school dance program would be those. Number 3, clarification of online donations. We recommend adopting clear categorization for donations received through Canada Helps. So, church and Ortho dollars should be 100% allocated to the church. Community programs, 100% allocated to community. And then HCO priorities allocated between the church and community based on a defined methodology. Number 4, capital properties oversight. This committee should continue to examine all options regarding the real estate assets of the HCO. Number 5, standardized financial policies. Develop clear procedures and expense allocations, coding practices, and the calculation of charitable donations. Number 6, documentation transparency. We recommend that future minutes ensure full procedural compliance and that all approved capital expenses have supporting documentation. recommendation. Number 7, debt reduction initiative. To support the long-term financial stability of the HCO, we recommend the implementation of an annual fundraising initiative dedicated to reducing the HCO's debt obligations. Number 8, line item review. We recommend a systematic review of all expenditure line items to identify potential cost savings. And number 9, the new membership updates. Our committee will identify key metrics that should be part of future standard updates to the membership. The board has received these recommendations, and we look forward to working with them on their implementation. This concludes our report, Mr. Chair.
Any questions or comments on the report?
Jimmy Davis, number 42. Just want to go back to Spiro's first part. Just want to make sure I understand. Did you say that we do not have officer director's liability insurance coverage?
We have not received the copy.
So you didn't say we don't have the coverage. Okay, I misheard you. Thank you. We have the coverage.
First of all, I want to do a commercial. I want to thank the Audit Committee for an excellent report. And along the lines of that report, I think that, I don't know if I'm entitled to make a motion to this effect or how we do it, but it's got to get done. We have to, along those lines that they just described, we have to, and going along with the President's comments about our general apathy out there, people standing on the sidelines, not participating. I think a lot of that has to do with not the valuable work that the board is doing, because you guys are here all the time and we're not. So there's a great deal of respect on my part for what you do, as I've done it in the past. So, however, there's something that we cannot maneuver this organization, and we cannot attract this new spirit of support without an extreme change to the way the financial information is dissipated to, we won't say the ownership, the membership, the stewardship. And I would like to make a motion that we, and I'm not asking the treasurer to do this, he and I have had discussions about this. I'm asking him to make sure that it gets done, that at minimum, our membership is afforded the pleasure of seeing quarterly statements every 3 months that are done within the next 30 days after those 3 months. I think that will make it more possible for your board of directors, who is working so hard, to be able to consummate proper decisions on where to spend the money, how to spend the money. I mean, a lot of those choices were made by the floods and the HVAC units breaking down. By the way, I changed those HVAC units in 2001, so if they lasted 24 years, that's a good thing. So they were ready to be toast, and they were. So there's nothing criminal with what's gone on. It's just part of, buildings never look at our pocketbooks for when the roof goes or all of those things. And in order to be more prepared for this, and I'm only doing this in good faith, is that I want to force this board to create that system where we get the statements. And whether we get those statements, whether we have the capacity to do it in-house, or whether the people at BDO do it, or whether the auditor steps in to find somebody else to do it.
it doesn't, I'm not asking the treasurer to do it, I just want to explain that. But you are responsible to us for what's going on here. And I will further state that 6 months into a year, to be still waiting for the audited statement for 2024, and I know there was an audit from CRA, okay, and I know all of those excuses, but there is no excuse for that. And I don't know, I'm not saying that it's the board's fault. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you hire professionals. You know, our auditor doesn't do the audited statement for free. He gets paid to do it. And if he's the problem, then he should be replaced. And if it's BDO that's the problem, I told him right in his face, he should be replaced. But I'll tell you one thing, at the end of the day, the buck stops with the treasurer. So the audited statement should be in the hands of the board so that you could analyze what you're doing in the next year within 30 days of the end of the year, of the calendar year, not 7 or 8 months after, because we've already spent $500,000 or whatever. And how do we know whether we have the money or whether we didn't if we don't have this available to us? So I guess my motion has 2 parts. One is that the auditor has to be kept to the task, and it's a 2-step thing, because I believe the auditor, the accountants that are here will support me on this. If you have the quarterly statements, then the auditor can give you that audited statement within 30 days at the end of the year. And the other part to this, and I'm very happy to see the budget that's been sort of laid out by the committee, is that they have to be able to the audited statement. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought. That's got to do with my age. So we need both of those things to be in place. Otherwise, and I can tell you personally, I've spoken to a lot of people, and there's a lot of hesitation in giving money to a black hole. And I'm saying this because I love my church, and I hear a lot of the things that the president said in his comments, and I identify with those things because I'm part of this community. And I really want us to go ahead. And I don't want us to be questioned all the time. Oh, they don't know what they're doing, they're spending, and they don't know. Well, if you put this motion in play, you will always have the information you need, and it should be on the website, and our members would go in, put in their password if they're paid up, and look at it. It's not rocket science. We have a $2 to $3 million gross, which is a tiny little not-for-profit company. So we need this information, and it will do us good. So, anyway, what do you think? To get quarterly statements within 30 days after the quarter, and the audited statement to have the auditor enter a contract, go out for tender if this auditor can't do it, you know. And that audited statement should be in the hands of our board of directors by February 1st, not sitting here in June thinking about July, really, guys, and not knowing what happened last year. I just, you know what, I don't like to speak out, because if I have so much to say, I should be helping on the board. I shouldn't be just talking. But I can't hold myself back, because these are big mistakes. So that's my motion. Maybe somebody wants to second.
understand, Steve.
Steve, what's your number?
One is addressed.
I got two numbers. I got 66 and 67. I'm double the power. I'm 66. I'm always 66. I'm 76.
One is addressed to the auditor, that they ought to have the audited financial statement within 30 days of the end of the fiscal year.
Yes.
And the other is addressed to the board, that they provide quarterly financial statements within 30 days of the end of the quarter. Is that it?
At the end of the quarter, yes. And I think that's really, I'm voicing a requirement that is from all of us to you, that you have to make sure it happens. And I'm not saying that Alexis should stay here till midnight to finish the statement. I'm saying somebody's got to get it done. I don't care. Just get it done.
And the second is by any comments on the motion?
Then I pull out of
Okay, the floor is open now for discussion on the motion that was just made by Steve Reynolds, which is to provide to have the auditor provide an audited financial statement within 30 days of the end of the fiscal year, and also for the board to provide quarterly financial statements within 30 days of the end of the quarter.
I have a question too. I'm sorry. So you told me you were you're with the auditors or BDO? Okay. Well, maybe you can answer this question. I don't mean to second guess my brother-in-law, but is it possible to turn around an audit statement in 30 days? I don't think so. You might want to amend that part of the motion. It probably takes at least 30 days for us to get the information that they need to, if they're lucky.
So the information we just got is that basically a 30-day deadline is not too practical. So 30 days would be more practical, right? I mean, 3 months.
I think just what Matt kind of spoke to was that 3 months following the fiscal year audit statements would be a more realistic timeline. I completely agree with everything that Steve has said, especially with the quarterly statements. I fully support that motion, and it's something we've been discussing with BDO, and you know, all things that were mentioned are things we're actively working towards. So I think the motions can be, if that's okay, 3 months after the fiscal year, and quarterly statements that are disseminated to the community. And they're obviously reviewed by the board and all relevant parties, and then we distribute that.
So then, Alexi, you're making a motion to amend?
I'm just. Oh, do I make a motion to amend Mr. Rams's motion? Okay, sure. If he's okay with that, maybe he has a rebuttal.
So I can accept the 90 days if that's what you're talking about. That's fine. It's more important the quarterly statements and within 30 days. And there's no reason not to get those. We get the bank reconciliation for the first week of the month. You can reconcile it. You should be able to set it up that it's either done in-house or you do it. But I know it's doable, and I think you know it's doable. So God bless you.
Yeah, I just want to. I agree with Steve wholeheartedly, but the question that I have is about BDO. They were brought in to report quickly to support it, or do that. I'm just wondering why we don't have that already. What are we paying for? Like allocations? That's important, but I think it's important to get that quarterly statement. And by the way, that was my motion that I reversed the last time, last GA, when I said we need better reporting, more timely reporting. And then it was the treasurer that came back. Alexei, you said you're going to look into it. You have BDO hired. So here we are. Are we getting the service from BDO? With all due respect, I don't know you, but you know, we're a community. You know, money's tight. We need to move forward, and we need more accountability here. Why don't we have a quarterly statement like that? Why don't we have a monthly statement when we have in-house professional staff doing that service?
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to that because I think when we first got here, what we initially saw, and Dean spoke to it a little bit, but I think what we initially saw was that things were being not categorized properly. So the majority of our initial work was cleaning up what had initially been done, and now we're working towards getting to that reporting structure. So there's been a lot of work being done by myself and Natasha to get there. And to be quite honest with you, we're getting close. So
they'll also, I still have the treasurer's report, and they'll also be
in there too. They have report and videos updates.
Okay. Okay, that's fine, but you know, allocations, we have two big events. So that allocation is very, so I don't know if I buy that argument too much, you know, here and there, it's all overall, but we'll get away from that. The other question, the other statement that I want to make is in response to Steve as well about accountability. I mentioned it at the town hall. If you want accountability, we respect, and I've been there, the volunteers do the best they can, but you can't have accountability being a volunteer and not being here fully. So I'm a supporter. I'm not going to make a motion now, but for consideration, to look at having accountability, a professional executive, an executive director that oversees the day-to-day operations here, and not having a president who's worried on the side of his desk unless they're retired and they want to sit here all day. But I think as a long-term strategy, moving forward, having that comfort as members, having professional and executive, we had that before, it was working, to come here and manage our staff. Are they coming in? Are they out? Where are they? What are they doing? Productivity, accountability. So I think having consideration in the membership, I know people say it's expensive, but there is a lot of litigation when you're running a volunteer association. So I think for consideration, I think the membership hopefully supports that. I'm not going to make a motion now, but having accountability, but that's it. Thank you.
Sorry, but I do have a motion on the floor, right? So the only thing that needs to be kind of clarified in that motion is that these statements that happen every 3 months will happen within 30 days, and we'll have a comparison to the budget. And that's what I forgot to say, that we have to have the budget in place before the calendar year starts, so that it all works together. So we set the budget in December for 2026. We get the first quarterly statement of the end of March 2026. That statement compares with what we prophesize to be the income and the expenses for that quarter against the budget against the actuals. Because I think members want to see the difference between what you think is going on or what you think will happen and how good you are at being able to project what will happen, because that's what's going to garner the confidence that the Mustang is talking about that he wants to get back, because people don't have that confidence right now, and it's all because of a breakdown. And it's not, as I said, I'm not making this in any way personal. It's a system, and if BDO isn't getting the information from our office, then your job is to make sure that we get the information to them. Like, it's not, there has to be an accountability for providing the information. So wherever the problem lies, whether it's you need to bring in somebody to be able to provide the information, doesn't matter. I'm saying, do what you have to do. This is what we want. Okay, if people agree with it, of course. All right, so you got all those things?
Yep.
Dean, did you have something to say on the motion?
I just want to say quickly, and it's actually a pre-motion before Steve's motion. Can we do that? No. Okay. But I just want to, it's an amendment then, or something. Basically, I just want my thing to be ahead of Steve, that's all I want. That's what we want. So, I've seen the finances before, and I know the work that BDO did to clean up, and the audit committee presented that we need better reporting overall and allocation of where everything's going. So before we can get, and I agree with everything you're saying, before we can get to quarterly statements, I think we need to make sure that our systems are in place properly, and we need a recommendation from BDO before we can even begin that. So until they come back and say, hey, your systems are in place, everything is ready, now we can begin to start doing that. Because to do it now, you're just going to get a bunch of jumbled numbers that aren't, that potentially it's not potentially going to make any sense. And so that's all I was going to say. Until the data is actually done properly, we won't be able to provide those statements. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
Thank you for your input to my motion. The thing that has to be, I think, also clear in this motion is that we have 5 areas of operation here, okay, that should be, that clearly, so everybody understands that we have a gold plate, that we have a festival, that we have a church operation, that we have a banquet operation, and that we have something called community here.
Yeah, the finance.
So the audit committee did a very good job of expressing that. That has to be provided in those quarterly statements so that we can clearly see, oh, that's what happened at the gold plate. Right now, it's kind of hidden in the community stuff, and it's all over the allocation has to be simple so that simple people like me can understand it.
Yeah, okay. So, just
I fully support everything that Steve has said. One of the important things that he said is that people do not give to a black hole. And this we have to keep in mind, we have to remember that, because we do have some black holes that have to be corrected.
So the motion by Steve Brampus is a 3-part motion, if I understand it, that the members should be provided with a budget before the end of the fiscal year, and that the audit, the accountants for the HCO provided financial and audited financial statement within 90 days of the end of the fiscal year, and the board provide quarterly financial statements within 30 days of the end of a quarter. Okay.
And the budget before the
Yeah.
December.
So, everybody heard the motion? Those in favor? Those against? Carried. So I think now we'll go to the treasurer's report.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. One of the breaking news items I had were covered and spoken about, and I fully support the conversation we just had, and we're working through it, and I do want to thank BDO for being here tonight. They've been an asset for us since they came on. It's been a pretty substantial transition, and we're working through it, and everything that was highlighted by Steve, is absolutely being taken into consideration, others as well, and we are plugging away and getting to that point. So we're all optimistic on the progress and completely support this motion. So I'd like to begin by thanking everyone who attended the financial town hall last week. Your thoughtful questions and participation show a strong sense of support for this community's financial future. I'd also like to thank the Audit and Finance Committee, Dean Kalakasis, George Savalas, and Spiro Brumas for their hard work in preparing last week's report and presentation. So as all of you know now, the we will not be going through or presenting the audited financial statements for 2024. The beginning of the year was pretty exceptional as we were selected for an audit by CRA. It was, as you may or may not have seen on the news, charitable organizations and nonprofits were being increasingly targeted for audits, and we were randomly selected for one of them. So the audit is now concluded, and as part of those adjustments, we do owe a sum of approximately $39,000 that we have already set up a payment plan for with CRA, and are working through that now. Again, understanding that it is one of the main contributing factors, but still we should have them, and we will make sure to have them for in a timely manner going forward. So I will be focusing on firstly the bank balances, our credit facilities, the 2025 budget, and Q1 performance so far. These are based off of the operational kind of numbers that were shown at the town hall, and align with them and how we're targeting for this year so far with respect to Q1. So I'll start with the bank balances. As of yesterday, our main account bank balance is at negative $237,000. So this means we're into our operating line of credit for that amount. The rest of our accounts remain unchanged, and we continue to obviously contribute to our Yordies Trust account every month. That balance currently sits at $130,000. If we move to the next slide. So, as mentioned in the Audit Committee's report, our current debt load remains substantial. Our total outstanding debt is $794,000. We continue to service this debt responsibly and on schedule, with no good borrowings this year. Managing and reducing this debt remains a priority and a risk, especially as we plan for long-term projects and capital repairs that need to be done. So we'll go to the next slide. Perfect. So similarly to what was presented at the town hall town hall last week, we've broken down the budget into the main lines of business. I just want to caveat that this isn't strictly or solely kind of an operational budget, and it is subject to change based on what comes out of the financial statements and any adjustments that take place within them. So again, once that's finalized, reviewed by the board and the Audit and Finance Committee, it will be disseminated to the community for review. So for church operations, we're budgeted at $671,000 in gross revenue and $345,000 in expenses. Targeting a $326,000 surplus for this year. And tracking against our budget, we have a $61,000 surplus in the church for the first quarter of 2025. If we move to community, as explained in the town hall last week, this is a cost center for all community initiatives and expenses towards maintaining our operations and facilities. And our planned expenses for 2025 total $539,000. Currently, we have a deficit within this cost center of $58,000 for the first quarter. The banquet hall, we're targeting $633,000 in revenue with $471,000 in gross profit against $462,000 in expenses, aiming for a modest $9,000 surplus, and we continue to be on track at the end of the first quarter with a small surplus of $6,000. Lastly, Greenfest is projected to generate $539,000 in net revenue and $389,000 in expenses, with a targeted profit or surplus of $120,000. In Q1, revenues and expenses are largely tracking to the budget that you all have, and we're closely monitoring, obviously, our banquet bookings and the expenses and operations throughout the community as we head into the second half of the year. The next slide, is just a roll-up, combining the actuals and projections for 2025. We expect a modest surplus of $9,000 for the banquet hall, a significant surplus of $326,000 for the church, and an expected deficit of $539,000 for the community, or the community location and cost center, and a substantial profit for Greenfest of $120,000. With respect to Gold Plate, we have a portion of our presentation tonight where the Gold Plate Committee will speak to the immense success that it was this year, and again, how integral events like Gold Plate and Greenfest are to the community. Overall, we're positioned to maintain financial stability through 2025, and that said, our aging infrastructure, large debt loads still present a risk, and which requires us to be cautious. Especially if we begin to plan for other capital projects and broader discussions around scheduling infrastructure repairs or any kind of development. It's also important to note on this slide that we wanted to highlight that without our flagship events like the Gold Plate Dinner and Greenfest, we would be looking at a significant deficit of around $70,000, similar to what was mentioned by the Audit and Finance Committee. We consistently rely on these events to make up this deficit and offset any capital repairs that we encounter throughout the year. In closing, I want to reiterate that the HCO's financial outlook is stable but at risk, and it is a result of careful planning and community participation and obviously financial discipline that we try to remain stable. Your continued engagement as members and volunteers makes all this possible, and we thank you again for your support. Before maybe anybody wants to come up and have any additional questions, I do want to reintroduce Matt and Natasha from BDO. They've been great for us these last couple of months, transitioning and onboarding and learning all about our community. We wanted to invite them here today to answer any questions if they have, and just speak to some of the progress they made and the work they've been doing, and say hello.
Hey, first off, I just want to thank Alexi for allowing us to kind of speak to everyone here, because the reality of kind of what we're doing is really just trying to support the community at the end of the day. I think what was clear with the audit community statement was that the discrepancies across different fiscal periods were really what is the thing that is making it difficult to budget year over year, since things were kind of in different places over the years. So a lot of what the work we've been doing is working on making sure that we have a stable foundation kind of as we move forward, to not only have a stable budget, but also to be able to forecast for the future, but also be able to have that look back to see how we were doing against previous years, to see if we were improving. A lot of this really comes down to processes, as Dean had mentioned. What we really want to do is beef up the processes and kind of pare them down a little bit to be a little bit less complex than they had been previously, which will effectively allow us to provide more consistent reporting, because there will be less work involved in producing the financial information. So really, our goal here is to work towards getting budgeting and actuals, exactly like Steve said, on a quarterly basis. One thing that we have been discussing, Alexi and I, have been the potential of putting together a newsletter based on our meeting about the reports, so that you don't necessarily only have the quarterly reports, budget versus actual, but you also have the flavor of what we've discussed on top of that. So really that's what we're working towards, and realistically we're grateful for the opportunity to potentially have an impact on the community like that.
I have a question for the treasurer. You gave us your report indicating where the line of credit is, which is almost at the top, right? but you didn't tell us what we owe.
Yeah. So I mentioned like the total debt load was 700, I think you said 94,000.
But current payables.
Oh, current.
Outstanding.
I would have to. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay, so that's kind of like when you do the quarterly reports, it's very important that we include the accounts receivable and accounts payable so that we get a clear picture, because you see, this is where it misleads us as shareholders here. It misleads us because, oh, okay, so we're at the top of our line of credit, but you know, the festival's coming, we're going to make some money, we're going to be okay. But we're not okay if we owe $200,000 today. We're not okay. And I don't know that. I'm not saying that that's what we owe, but that's what we need to see. And we also need to see, oh, that son of a gun had his wedding at our hall and he didn't pay us. You know, well, what's going on with that? Is it into collection? Is it a good receivable? Are we going to get it? Can we rely on this money coming in? That's how, and I think that by incorporating, and I'm very, very encouraged tonight with what I heard from both the gentleman at BDO and the Audit Committee, that we're heading in the right direction, but it's very important not to miss those little details because it'll help you manage better. And that's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
So I agree with Steve's views that we should have more transparent reporting and provide more greater transparency, more frequency in reporting. I'd like to address the elephant in the room, which is the debt load. And I think we should also be tracking closely what our carrying costs are for that debt. And we had the Audit and Finance Committee speak. They had some great recommendations, creating a task force in the banquet hall. In addition to ensuring that our assets are performing as they should, I think we should also have a debt management strategy. Are we going to address this big debt load? Are we paying off a higher interest-bearing debt with lower interest-bearing debt? It seems to me we have a credit card balance. Why are we paying that off with one credit right away? I'd like to know, and based on my, just looking through these interim statements, I think the interest costs were something like $90,000. In my account, that's like the second largest line item after salaries. Right? So it's a big problem that we need to address. Should we look at selling assets to pay down the debt so we don't have to pay so much interest? Why are we addressing this? Thank you.
Hi. Can I ask that our total outstanding payables be sent to the GA by to the community by next week? Can we get a total then? Since we don't have it on today.
Sure. I can have that sent out with the report that was created today. Yeah, I can send that out with our audited financial statements.
Okay, thanks.
Looks like a great job was done on the room rentals for the hall. The amount here is like $343. Is any of that attributable to Globe Play or Greek Pass, or that's just all outside stuff? Okay, that's fantastic. However, can we get a breakdown on the word, what's the thing here? Sorry, I don't have the reading glasses. Total salaries and benefits for the banquet hall. Can we get a breakdown? What percentage of that is just for the wages for the temporary staff versus the two full-time employees?
The lion's share of that salaries and benefits expenses for staff we hire for events. If you want a specific breakdown, I can provide one.
Yeah, please. It seems quite high. Like when I'm just looking at the numbers here, the room rental alone accounts for most of the profit from the event center. So maybe the food service side of it is a roofing estimate. It's a lot of money and it generates very little return.
Yeah, the room rental and the food and liquor income accounts, they I would look at them as combined. They are being separated as specific accounts within the books, but like for a single event, you would have a room rental sale and a liquor and food sale. So they're a total sales figure. They're just split off into room rentals, room rental revenue for the hall, and food and liquor income or revenue for the hall.
Okay, and if I understand, I think the majority of this $300,000 for salaries and benefits is for the wages for the temporary staff.
Most of it is, yes.
Okay, thanks.
I just wanted, Alexi, on the CRA audit, you mentioned something. How did we do? Did we do well? Did we pass? Are we in trouble? So that's my first question. And the second question is to, I guess, the auditor. Are you the auditor, sir? Okay, you're not the auditors. Okay. Because, in terms of cost centers and allocations, I think actually we're becoming simpler. This year, we had the Gold Plate dinner, which was at another hall, so there's not much activity there in terms of reporting into the system. So I think, I'm not sure where, so when you're talking allocations, we've been hearing that. I think it's very simple. We've always had audited statements, and they've been very successful. That's what we go by when we're showing it to potential sponsors, or if the city, we're trying to get grants. They always want these audited financial statements. I really don't understand why we're delayed. Really. Was it the CRA audit this year? What was it? I know we have that motion now. Hopefully that will be moved forward. But I've been a treasurer before, and I know that Amelia would rush before the General Assembly to enter all the information, get that done for May. It wasn't, there was some time involved, obviously, but what is BDO's sort of, are you only here 1 day or are you here 4 days? So I just want to know what the delay is, because it's not that difficult. It's not that big of an entity. $2 million, 2 major events that happen in a total of 12 days. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, with respect to the audit, again, the main reason I'll highlight is the CRA audit that was conducted on HST and sales tax. The outcome of that audit was that we do owe $39,000. That has been closed, and we are working on paying that down to the government, to CRA. With respect to the timeline, I wouldn't necessarily lay it at the feet of BDO. I think there are several factors involved with the audit and its delay, and kind of the many questions we receive from the auditors on certain things throughout the year and continue to receive. So that did kind of, the audit, the CRA audit did delay the 2024 statements or books being closed, but there was other things and other factors with respect to MMP's analysis and the work they did that also extended the process, and questions they continue to ask.
I do just want to say quickly, me personally, I've never been audited by CRA. Alexi's never been audited by CRA. We did our best with the team that we had in place. It was a big first for all of us. And I don't think the community's ever been audited by CRA. So it was a lot of learning. We got through it. BDO, when did you start BDO? By the time you got on board? September. So, they're learning our community. We had Inside Zed here for 8 years, and by the end of 8 years, they had no idea about our community. So they're doing a great job so far. I would say, Alexi as well is doing a fantastic job. So bear with us, we're trying our best. I think obviously we owe everything to our community here, to our members, but we're working through it as a group. I think that we did the best we could. We might have been able to shave a bit of time, and obviously in a perfect world we would have had our audited financials by now, but we don't, and we hope to have it within the next couple of weeks sent out to everyone, so we'll go from there.
A perfect number 10, by the way. Just for follow-up on the available statement, we've said this before, and Alexis, he understands that there's a need to do a report on payables and receivables that's aged. So it's not just what the total number is how many 30 days is the 90 day plus, because that becomes a management tool as well. So when we do it, that was our recommendation that payables and receivables need to be aged so that we can see where we have deficiencies. 101. One question to Lexi for Greek Fest. The salaries and benefits that we paid out, $76,000. Who are we paying?
And those are laborers that we have to hire for the festival to work.
It's labor. It's third-party labor that we're required now, just due to the volunteer.
Like what, for picking up the trays from cooks?
Yeah, it varies. The entire setup last year was essentially done by paid staff. We had no volunteers. The kitchen is essentially all paid staff. Teardowns all paid staff. Garbage is all for trained staff. All the cleanup outside. So it's a significant chunk of money. I know.
And I assume it'll be going up every year.
Likely. Yeah, for sure. So I think that's kind of where our Greek Fest now is showing.
You were showing at the town hall 800,000, and we only made 100. I mean, not even 20% on. It's a festival. It's not fine dining.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's unfortunate. All right.
Yeah, I think truly it is a show of kind of where we are now, and I think we all are aware of the climate of our community right now, and we've been going through tons of pictures over the last years, and we've lost many loved ones, and a lot of those volunteers just aren't there anymore, and they're not able to get their kids and their grandkids to volunteer like that first generation did. Believe me, we're here day and night for weeks for Greek Fest, and we wish our friends were here, but they're not, unfortunately. So that's a big cost that is added up.
And just to follow up on that, there's a lot of special areas where we don't have people, and the cutting of the lamb, nobody knows how, very few people, we have to have a paid professional to do it. Over the years, we used to have a group of 25 guys doing the lambs. Thank God Dean came in last year to help me out. Prior to that, it was myself and my brother and John Zagunas that did all the lambs. We don't have the volunteers. And I'm not accusing you, but to question that number, this is the reason. We don't have enough volunteers. And when people say, well, I volunteered, well, yeah, 4 hours, 10 hours, some people are here 40. But the people that volunteered 20 years ago, that was a different group of people. You know what your dads did here. It doesn't compare to what we're doing now.
My question is to Alexis. You mentioned that CRA, we had to pay $39,000. What was the findings? What was the reasons? I mean, we're not a private company, we're a community, so are we doing some monkey business? I'm sorry to use that word. For our CRA to find that a company or a community has to pay $39,000, there's something wrong. Who does our payroll? Who does our HCO returns? Who does our social deductions? I mean,
I can speak to that because we were heavily involved in the HST audit. So most of the findings that were found were basically prior period omissions that were done. So
how many years before?
So they went back all the way back to 2022. They were looking at basically everything, anything and everything throughout the years.
Did you say 2022? 3 years?
Yes. So they went back 3 years, and basically what the major finding was that there were some ITCs that were taken that were a little bit above the threshold that is considered for the CRA for charitable organizations.
What was that? Could you explain that?
It's an input tax credit, so basically the tax that you get back when you spend money on basically anything. So.
And who was doing those returns?
That at the time it was Insight Zen, but those, you have to really know the rules of charitable organizations when purchasing a vehicle realistically to understand what the threshold is for how much tax you can claim back. So I think that was omitted in the initial filing. So
any possibility to appeal this decision, or?
Absolutely.
No. Thank you.
I would like to answer mostly to Steve and Tony and Jordan. I keep saying for years that the extent of work regarding our finances, if you don't understand, and that I keep saying, repeating myself, that we need full-time bookkeepers. And I hear that you cannot hire full-time bookkeepers, you cannot find full-time bookkeepers. So we hire part-time bookkeepers. There is no way for these people to να προλάβουν να τα κάνουν όλα αυτά. And I'd like to commend Natasha and Matt because they're doing a wonderful job. And as they said, they're clearly not what some mess done before. But I'm just going to say the community needs a full-time bookkeeper to have all these reports, and it will cost less. That's all.
Committee reports.
Well, play that.
Why don't we vote on the motion, Mr. Fun?
Vote please. Would you like to vote please? Mr. Speaker.
They can hear me, please? Okay. I sound like Father Abakum. Okay. Okay, so before I start with Gold Plate this year, I just want to thank the board for everything it does. On nights like this, you know, they have to answer a lot of questions. It's difficult, but anybody who's done it knows it's a very time-consuming, very difficult job for nothing, and very little love. And I don't even know how Alex has fathered 2 kids in the last few years. That's how much time it takes up. But I know they'll take all the constructive criticisms and incorporate it and do a good job. So Gold Plate this year. What do we have as the next slide? Oh, thank God this year we have 2 beautiful women to put on this to upgrade the ugly factor with all these guys on the committee. We're very fortunate to have a really good committee that works very well together to put on the event, especially this year, which was more challenging in certain ways because we made the big move to a new facility. We did this move because we had outgrown our previous facility, which was here in our own home, and it was a difficult move. It wasn't an easy move because you want to do things in your own home, but it was very difficult to, we were tight. We were just like a can of sardines in here. It was no longer an enjoyable experience for everybody. This year we were lucky though, with a new facility, we were able to expand and bring in an extra 150 people to the event for approximately the same cost as running the event here, actually a little bit less. So by doing that, we were able to
provide the community with $350,000 to help with the budgets. And as you can see here, just a year to year for the last 2 years, being able to have all that extra room and all the extra people is what helped. But going forward, like these numbers, while they're great, they are a little bit, not deceiving, but there's the last 2 years, 24 and 25, we were fortunate that Ike, being Ike and able to sell so well, was able to convince Brigil, the owner of Brigil, that if he could get the room to pony up an extra $50,000, he could match it. So year to year, there's also that 100,000 extra on top that we probably cannot count on going forward. Those were a couple of exceptional events. But the critical things to think about is that since 2017, over $1 million you've raised for the community, and it benefits the community strictly. The audience composition, though, of these events is over 90% non-Greek. Fewer than 10% of the people at the event are Greek. So a large part of the success of the event is due to the partnership that we have with the Heart Institute. We have become for a long time, ever since Steve started the event in the 80s, it has taken off, and it has been one of Ottawa's premier business events over the last quite a while. The sponsors now are getting bigger, donating more money. Like we said, Brigil matched $50,000. Diamond is a $50,000 sponsor, Marcus and Millichat 25. And now they're starting to want to have, if not some say, at least have some input as to where the money goes. So it's a relationship that has to be managed by Ike and Nick because they're the main ones who sell the event. It's a difficult and a very costly event to run. We have to sell over $250,000 before we even break $1 of profit. So this event is always very risky. When it comes to the main point, though, that I'd like to make tonight is that this event, all of us are 60 plus now. There's a shelf life to this event. It's a very specialized event in a very specialized field with Nick and Ike who drive the sales of it. I don't know of anybody else in our community really that does work in that field anymore. And we have to think of the future. How many more years do we have in our legs to keep doing this? Could be 1, could be 5, could be 3, we don't know. So there's going to be a need for the community to replace that approximately $200,000 plus per year that this event has been bringing on now for the last so many years. And that's something that has to be, I think, actually at the forefront of thinking going forward. I mean, it's this board and the future boards have to figure out what they're going to do with it. If they're going to replace it with other fundraisers or find other avenues. And what else? We added one point here. Do you want me to add one point? Oh, yes. The event has become pretty much self-funding. There's a $60,000 figure that we have to put into a raffle account to secure the license for the event. And we are, after the bank has returned that $60,000, we have set it aside, and that will be available for the next event. So basically, we have a memorandum of understanding with the board, and that dollar figure is set aside for that. And that would be the final point. That's it in a nutshell. We've been very fortunate through the work of some very good people, and that's it. Any questions?
Of course I do.
Of course, he's the architect of the gold plate. You're gonna have.
Does the amounts here,
Yes.
does that include the 100,000 that goes to the Heart Institute?
No, that's on top.
So that's on top.
Yeah, the donation to the Heart Institute is on.
So the community net benefit is those amounts.
That is net benefit to the community.
Fantastic, keep it up. Thank you.
Fantastic, great job to my brother Ike and everyone who helped. I just had a question. I saw in the raffle account that there was like no money. Is this, like I saw zero or like $300. Is that a typo? Should it say 350? 350,000 or Alexi?
No, it's not a typo. We put money in the raffle account, but we also need the money to pay expenses.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So that cash.
That money, the money is gone.
We're still waiting for a few last.
So you spent it. Okay.
What was the answer?
The money, we've already spent the money from gold plate, so there would be nothing in the raffle account.
Paying down the line of credit, I'm assuming.
Paying down the line of credit, expenses, invoices, bills, day to day.
Number 24, could you tell us how much money we did donate to the Heart Institute from the event?
We donated 150,000.
Thank you.
One thing that I'll say just when the Bylaw committee is coming up, we had 3 vendors that had a pretty substantial amount of outstanding invoices, and those 3 have been taken down, I would say, drastically. These are 3 vendors that were owed over $100,000, and they are now owed about probably $10,000. So, and one of them being the HVAC. So once Alexi distributes that number, you'll understand probably a little bit more why that 350 is already spent. $100,000 each, yes.
Thank you. Nico, can you hear me? Okay, all right, so we're covered, okay. Thank you. All right, your Bylaws Committee of Penny Recletus, who sends her regards and regrets, for not being able to attend this evening. Margaret Zapriu and myself, Bessie Guanapulu, have met regularly, almost weekly, since the last General Assembly in November 2024. We are currently in the process of reviewing and updating the HCO Policy Manual, which is the working document for the day-to-day operations of the HCO. We are currently in consultation with the board and members of our church community who are knowledgeable in past and present practices to help with the reviews and updates. During last year's spring annual General Assembly, our committee made a pledge to address a question from one of our members and similar concerns from many other members. After consulting with our HCO Board of Directors and Father Alex, and with their approval, we are proposing an update to the HCO bylaws to reflect the concern. We are proposing to amend the bylaws in order to allow the non-Orthodox spouse of a couple who have been married in the Greek Orthodox Church to obtain regular membership. And you can read it up here. The change we are proposing is in red. Okay? And the second bullet point. Would you like, should I read it?
To expand our regular membership in the HCO bylaws so that it will read as follows. In section 4.5.1, under the regular membership, to be considered a regular member and have all the rights outlined in section 4.6 of the bylaws, an individual must request regular membership and have met all of the following requirements. First of all, be 18 years of age or older. Second, be baptized according to the rites of the Greek Orthodox Church, or received into the church through chrismation, and what we've added is, or married in the Greek Orthodox Church. And the third criteria is to be of Hellenic descent or be married to or be the child of someone of Hellenic descent who is currently a member. So, in addition, we have to amend part of the bylaws that covers section 4.5.2 student membership and 4.5.3 senior membership to align with the regular membership, specifically the second bullet point. So,
we thank you and hope that we can count on your support on this motion. Are there any questions? Oh, sorry, that's the chair's job. Sorry. Yes?
Ashley, number 91. As I read this, and perhaps I'm mistaken, with second and third paragraph being an and, should I survive longer on this earth than my husband, I am no longer married to someone who's currently a member, and I could no longer be a member of the community, if I'm reading this correctly. So I don't know if that was the intention or not, but just I thought I'd point out that's an impact on people who are married into the church and Christian.
Yes, that certainly is something we should be adding. I get that.
We're married, but the third is and.
The third.
But it says and. The second paragraph is there, but and must be of Hellenic descent or married to someone.
Because you have to fill all the requirements. So if you suggested of Hellenic descent or being married or was married.
Yes.
They would, yes, okay, we would have to take that under advisement with Father Alex and.
The thing is, if he was married and he was divorced, then it's different than passed away. If I'm married and my wife passes away, I'm still married to her. But if I'm divorced, then you cut yourself from the Orthodox Church.
But if you're, the third paragraph indicates you're married to a person who's currently a member. So if you're married, you must still be married to someone who's currently a member. If your husband or wife has passed away, they are no longer currently a member. So you don't meet the third criteria. So that's the issue. The third paragraph is an and. Just as it was without, and then the second point I would just raise is, and that goes to the question of membership in more broadly, and I realize that this is a much bigger question, but one I think is worth considering is if we are looking at who are members in the church, and I would respectfully suggest you consider having them be members in the Hellenic community. And that, because as it is right now, even someone like Father who could not be a member of the Hellenic community of Ottawa. Because you have to be somehow held connected to someone who is Hellenic. I think if you're a member of the church, you should consider having people who are members of the church be full members of the Hellenic community.
Thank you for that.
May I? Do we have, in our church community, we have people that are of Romanian origin, they're considered Greek Orthodox because they are called Greek Orthodox. We have some Orthodox from Lebanon that are members of our Hellenic community. We have had some, believe it or not, Muslims that converted to Orthodoxy and were baptized in the Orthodox Church. So that means that, they cannot be members of the Orthodox Church? The Hellenic community of Ottawa?
Technically not. That's part of bylaws, yeah.
Well, I think that...
They can be affiliate members, but they cannot vote or be on the board of directors. So
and I don't understand why.
Because there's an oath the board of directors have to say, and it's also the third criteria. Be of Hellenic descent, or be married to, or be a child of someone of Hellenic descent. So that isn't a separate, that's a different issue.
Yeah, we have to really, I think we have to look into that, because I think that our community is one of the very few communities that do not accept membership, those who are not Greek. and to me, it's wrong. I think that if you're Orthodox and you call yourself a Greek Orthodox, you should be able to be a full member of and vote and be on the board. I have cousins in the United States that they were Jewish. They became Orthodox, and they are on the board of directors of a Greek Orthodox church in the United States. So, why someone who is baptized and in full communion with the Greek Orthodox Church cannot be members of the Hellenic community of Ottawa? I really don't understand that. We need to really look into that.
With all due respect, being Orthodox for the church is different than being a member of the Hellenic community of Ottawa. Am I right?
Technically now, yes.
No.
Well, technically.
Technically now, yes. Why?
I mean, yes, we do have, like you mentioned, Ukrainians, Armenians, whatever, or not Muslims, but Arabs, who are Orthodox. But they're not Greeks. They're not married to the Greek.
So we have to tell them then you're not really welcome to the Hellenic community. You go to the Lebanese church or to the Romanian
you welcome to our church as an Orthodox person, but you're not part of the Hellenic community.
So we become kind of then a private club. We're a private club that we don't accept anybody else.
That's how I understand it.
I think we have to really look into that.
Keeping in mind when we do our bylaws and everything, we are going by the Act and the Archdiocese parish regulations. So we do try to, we have the Act to abide by as well. And what we're doing today is we believe we're opening the door to more members and to the residents going about, how do we word it, about broadening our circle. And we hope that this broadens our circle to some degree, and then we take all these advisements. But our motion stands for what's up there. If we could get a second and then perhaps discuss.
Can I ask a question though?
This is the motion, yeah, sorry.
What is on the floor right now is the motion.
Sorry, nobody can hear what you're saying, sir, so I apologize, but you're going to talk amongst yourselves for 2 weeks.
No, the point I wanted to make is that what is on the floor right now is the motion that is depicted on the panel, okay? So broadening it out is a discussion that goes beyond the motion, and that the bylaws committee could take a lot of the stuff that's been said already into advisement for future amendments. But the motion right now is to expand the membership to include people who have been married in the Greek Orthodox.
But can I just ask a question though? Some people might be, like, I think we need to have all of the information, and that last bullet point, I think, limits the number of people that you might be able to accept into our community. And can't our church and community be one? And I just...
No, what that does is, in fact, it expands the ability to be a member to people who are not Greek Orthodox, but have been married to a Greek Orthodox church.
But the last point doesn't, unfortunately. Because if you're not Hellenic, you can be married to someone, and if your husband...
It's not the motion. The motion right now is to expand what the rest of it is background. The motion is to expand the membership to include people who right now are not included, who are not Greek Orthodox, but have been married in the Greek Orthodox Church.
So we are bringing them in.
Yeah.
Right. And we are allowing them to be full members.
So if you're married to a member and your spouse passes away, you're still married, you're not, you can still be a member. If you're Canadian but you married a Greek. And they pass away, you're still married.
Yes.
If you don't remarry and remarry a non-Orthodox, then no. That's you know, yeah.
Yes. And this is opening the doors, like there are those suggestions that we would take if you would like to reach out to the bylaws committee. We would happily review membership, perhaps even the membership stewardship. But this is, we believe, will broaden the circle.
Can I just, what if you're a convert, single?
Well, see, yeah, these all circumstances, yeah, we can't, you know,
Yes.
that's yes.
But that might cause somebody to go down the road because they don't agree with the last one, they're not and not here.
Well, this is existing, so we're actually expanding. Yeah, so it would be, yeah, yes.
So, the last meeting, my daughter did speak to this and asked that this be reconsidered because right now converts are shut out. And it's not helpful in Northwest community to make it less welcoming, not welcoming, that's the wrong word, to not engage converts in the same way we engage each other. So
we actually, when we referenced that someone had, that we pledged to try to answer the question, we thought we were doing that, but perhaps if you could send something more specific, we could take a look at that.
Okay, I think the theme was converts will not be treated the same way here. So it's problematic. So if I may propose to an amendment, and that is to drop the third vote.
It's something that, you know, that's not a motion, yeah, that's not a motion, because I think it would take a lot more, it would take a lot more to look at that rather than just do this. We really have to look at everything when we bring things forward, and to drop it right now would be difficult.
Because of the archdiocese or something else?
We don't know, see, that's just, it's an existing point, it's been there for many, many years.
No, I understand that the point's been there, but is the archdiocese requiring this?
I'll speak to it informally, let's call it, because I'm not part of the bylaw committee. However, through the process of applying to be on the board and recruiting people to be on the board, we learned pretty heavily about this item. And it is from the archdiocese. You have to be of Hellenic descent. And personally, the younger generation, we are perfectly fine with scrapping it, but it is there and it's enforced upon us by the archdiocese, because once you become a board member, you have to sign these documents and basically saying that you cover all three of these items.
Okay, but that's specific to board members. I'm not talking about just general members.
True. Yeah, true.
So I again.
You have to then, in a sense, like you had mentioned, an affiliate member, where you're a member, but you can never be a board member. So that's something that maybe like.
Well, I propose an amendment then to drop the third vote.
That's not what the bylaws committee is proposing though today. That's not our, we wouldn't feel comfortable putting that motion forth, I'm sorry.
Can you describe what an affiliate member is? You read the affiliate membership.
Okay, according to the bylaws, an affiliate member, anyone who cannot fulfill all.
Sorry, did everybody listen to this just for a second?
Anyone who cannot fulfill all the requirements set out for the other types of membership, which is those three bullets, but wishes to participate.
Excuse me. Sorry, I just want everyone to hear this.
But wishes to participate in the HCO must request affiliate membership and must meet the following requirements: be 18 years of age or older and pay the regular membership fee. Those are the two criteria. An affiliate member cannot vote at a general assembly or be elected to the board of directors. And the board of directors may at any time, by resolution passed by a majority of those present, limit the number of affiliate members. That's what it says in the
Okay, so the province of Ontario regulates non-profit organizations. Our bylaws have to comply with the regulations of the province, right? Does the Hellenic community of Ottawa have the ability to craft all of its own bylaws? Like how, like the Archdiocese, we function and respect the traditions of the Greek Orthodox Church, but are you telling me that the Archdiocese
That's in the parish, the old parish regulations, I'm assuming. But if the church is looking to expand, do we have the ability as a community to be able, and I know you can't do it tonight, I understand that, and I know that this motion is to currently expand, but to continue the expansion, do we have the authority, if the community votes on it, to do something like eliminate the third quota?
As long as we comply with the act.
Yes.
And the parish regulations. Yes.
We have to comply with the parish regulations. Father Alex, we have the right to, sorry, I apologize to Father Alex for the question, but because your job is to welcome people into the community, and as you explained why, from your perspective, if the Hellenic community of Ottawa voted to, in a future motion, to eliminate that third bullet, would we be shut down?
You have Hellenic descent.
Yes.
You have Hellenic descent.
Yes.
You know, to be sincere with you, I have to look into the Archdiocese bylaws, because I think that there is nothing there that it says that you have to be of Hellenic descent. I think that it says that you have to be baptized or confirmed, in the Greek Orthodox Church. So.
But will you be a Hellenic community?
Well, look, if we want to be a community, so people who didn't marry people who were Greek, so they can't be members of our community, and we have a history of doing that for as long as this community has existed.
But they can't vote because.
Well, but you want to take their money.
As long as.
We want them to contribute. We want them to feel welcome in the church. We want them to feel welcome. We want them to work at the festival. So I'm for this motion.
On that point,
yes.
We're opening the door
yes.
again to people who are doing exactly that, but are not able to attend or vote or go on board.
Yes.
So if we could just think of this opening the door, and then members should reach out to the bylaws committee, to your concerns, but this is not the forum for that.
No,
because we have to look for things. And so please keep it in mind.
Yes.
And if we could, we can't change the motion.
I'm not looking to change the motion, it's a question on the motion for the next motion. That's all. Thank you.
So.
If I may just say, I think that this motion that they're bringing on is truly opening the door. For example, if my wife is not Greek Orthodox, but she's married to me, she's able to be a member and vote in our assemblies.
With this motion.
Okay, with this motion. So until now, they're not. So we are allowing them to be a member. And I think that many of those people that are not Greek Orthodox, but they're married to, there are a lot of them that are working tirelessly in our community. They're inputting a lot of their time and talents to our community, but we are kind of rejecting them. You cannot be a member and do not vote. So we are welcoming them with this motion. Now, we're going to look into what Georgia said. I'm going to look into the bylaws of the Archdiocese, and we'll come back to you next time about that. And then we can make a motion, maybe, and remove that third bullet. Right? Or change that third bullet, kind of make a little change. Not remove it, but make a little change to that third bullet. All right? Sounds good?
Answer the question.
Okay. So hope everybody understands the motion now. This expands the membership.
I'm just going to say something. I'm Sophia Mazzopoulos. In my daytime job, I'm legislative counsel for the Department of Justice. This is exactly what I do 12 hours a day. I just want to clarify that the way this is drafted right now, what it's doing is opening not a door, but a window to allow anybody who was married in the Greek Orthodox Church without having been baptized Greek Orthodox to now become regular members. Anybody who, as far as I know, most people who are married in the Greek Orthodox Church actually fully convert or baptize, in which case they're already eligible. This is just for those who are not baptized in the Greek Orthodox Church, but who are married in the Greek Orthodox Church. So the church allows them to be married in the church, but without having to become Greek Orthodox all over again. That small number of people, those are the people that are now being allowed to become regular members.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's what. So it's opening a window. It's not even opening a door. It's opening a window.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that's just a point of clarification.
Thank you.
So I think everybody understands the motion now. We do expand the membership. So those in favor, please raise your card. There's no second or fifth minute, there's no board. Vote against? Carry. Okay, thank you. So I think the final committee that's up now is the
Membership.
Am I speaking with this? I'm very glad that the membership discussion is coming up immediately after the bylaw committee's motion. This is going to be wonderful. All right. Go to slide 1. So, just a quick update. I'm Gil Diaz. I am on the board of directors and also on the membership committee. So, 2024, we had approximately 570 total members that may or may not include stewards. This goes back to our reporting. We're talking about financials. Our reporting, just on our membership, who's a steward, who's not, and they're coming out of Canada House, that's also a disaster. So Benjamin Police has been doing a great job trying to input that information, share it. Nancy's been helping Penny trying to dissect and understand the information. So our numbers are a little bit jumbled. So I apologize for that, but it is what it is. In 2025, currently, we have 500 total members. That includes 100 stewards. Those you're not using the correct slide deck. I updated it. I have to go to drive. Just saying. Anyways, 500 total members. We have 100 stewards currently. But as you can see, or anybody that's been around for a long time or served on our board, in years past we've had upwards of 800 members in some capacity. So we're still fighting to try and get to those types of numbers, and one way that we're looking to try and achieve this is through stewardship, which I mentioned before in the past. So next slide, please. So in the fall GA in 2024, there was a motion by Mr. Flores that we would create an ad hoc committee that would report back to the General Assembly on our stewardship programming and implementation. So currently this is our stewardship team. We always have Father Alex, Dennis Arsatakis, Alex Euclides, Andrea Colonialis, Alexi, myself, Georgina Carlos, Henry Euclides, George Savelas, Tassi Linas, Nick Flores, and Marcus Zafario. So, and stewardship is not a committee, it's a team. It's an open committee, so anybody can join. So by all means, I welcome you. Although logistics might be a problem, right, George? So try and organize it. Basically, right now, I'm actually, can I propose a motion as I'm giving an update? Is that allowed? What, sorry? Yeah, it is on the issue. Okay, good. I'd like to make a motion to extend our mandate to the following year, again, because I don't even know when it gets dissolved or not, so I apologize to our bylaw committees that I don't know our bylaws. But I'd like to extend our mandate to continue ongoing at every GA. We provide an update on our stewardship programming and implementation. You're always going to get a membership update, but specifically around stewardship and how it's being implemented and working. And I don't know if that's valid or not, but that's my motion. And if it's not valid, then wipe it off the table. Oh. I'm making a motion to extend the mandate of the ad hoc committee that was created at the last General Assembly to continue reporting to the GA on the stewardship programming within the community.
I'll second that.
At our General Assembly. Why not?
I'll second that.
5. That's my motion, 5 years.
The bylaw committee can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's ad hoc committees, are they not members of the board? That committee's of the board. And you're turning into a committee of the General Assembly, which would have to be the bylaws. Yeah, but it's ad hoc, right? It's not, I mean, our committees of the General Assembly are not really doing the bylaws?
The standing committee.
Yeah.
The bylaw committee, the audit, and the.
Yeah.
But there are ad hoc.
The General Assembly?
Yeah, the General Assembly is the national sometimes. They can vote anything they want. So
Yes.
this is the committee of.
Okay, my understanding was, I mean, it's ad hoc would mean it's a committee of the board, and so you can't handcuff future boards. No. But I'm wrong, sorry.
Your excuse. You're still on your high from your Bruce Springsteen trailer that just came out. Next slide. Oh, sorry. Questions on the motion? I think we voted. Everybody passes. We're good. Oh, sorry.
All in favor?
Next slide. I'm not going to read that. But basically, so stewardship was implemented as a way to remove the limits of yearly dues, yearly fees, or dues-based fees. So basically paying yearly, right? A stewardship is a move to a free giving model, right? Where our community can give from the heart, from their spirit, through faith and love for their community and for their church. That is the purpose of stewardship, and that is what we're implementing. In the US, stewardship has been very successful, but they have a very specific parish model, where they have a church or a parish, and they have a community underneath it. In Canada, it's very different, and particularly in Ottawa. We are a community that has a church. And if you go back over the history of our community, that's how it was started. We had a community before we had a church. So our implementation of stewardship is going to be probably a little bit of a hybrid model, slightly different. It's going to follow as much as we can from stewardship. We actually engaged with the Archdiocese in the US. We had a call with Father James Cordaris, who leads the actual stewardship department for the Archdiocese. So we had a call with him. He's helped us. Currently, we have access to all his resources. He is more than welcome. He's more than welcome. We actually spoke with Father Alex as well. Father Alex was on the call for him to even come up and to help us implement it as well. So it's a great program that I think can really help us. We talk about finances, time. This is a way where people can now give. And to Danny's point, instead of people asking, what's the community doing for me? It's more, how can I give back to my community and to my church? Is really what the purpose of stewardship is. Next slide, please. So that's our mission. Our team, we're going to do our best to implement a model that fits within our community, as I mentioned before, and our members. So the goal of the stewardship is to change our mindset from, again, what my community and church are doing for me, but what I can give back to them. Essentially, you give selflessly through spirituality, through whatever means fit your situation. In some cases, that could be financially. In some cases, it's time. you volunteer your time. Some people do a hybrid of that. They give a little bit a month on a monthly basis or donations to their church, but then they're more so giving their time back to the community. That is the purpose of stewardship. For a long time, we've always been focused on the financials, but there's more to it than that, and we need to get our heads out of that financial aspect. The unfortunate part is, and I'm glad you also here, like, you look at our finances and we keep driving into them. We need to move away from that. Next slide. So what's next? So for the rest of 2025, we're going to be determining the best programming that we can for stewardship and the best implementation that fits our community. It's going to be program introduction. It's going to be education, collaboration with other members, with associations. Communication is going to be key. And obviously with the Archdiocese support and guidance, we're going to be able to implement this. Some changes may be drastic. Like some communities I can't wait for this one. Some communities in the States have wiped away fees for candles, where people just walk in, grab a candle, light a candle, no fees. Other ones, no baskets, unless it's a special project, right? If you know who's doing something or something like that. So these are, some people may claim them that they're very drastic, but that's the whole purpose of it. You want to give from your heart back to your church and back to your community. That's the purpose of it. Next slide. I can't claim this. This was a board previously. This was done up from Marcus Afferio and Infloricas that built a model of what our community associations and what it looks like. It was a great graphic. I've taken it and I put a Haji spin on it, I guess if you want to put it. So this is essentially, our associations for the most part and organizations that we have, they're categorized, and you can see that our community is in the middle. I want to emphasize and I want to stress that we are not changing the structure of our community. It's going to be the Hellenic Community of Ottawa, or the HCO, that has a parish and a church underneath it. And when I say underneath, I don't mean that in any type of negative context, but it is a division of our community. And we will always have other associations and organizations that report both into the church as well as into the community in various capacities. Okay? But we will always be the Hellenic Community of Ottawa. We are not proposing to change that structure. We are not proposing that. So, whatever the rumor mill decide, and people leave here and go to Tim Hortons and have their coffees or their side or something. What do you call them, Your side? Club side, and you're gossiping about what happened at the GA. We're keeping it the same, so everybody knows. Okay? The key is going to be working with associations and organizations as well to get the messaging out so that they can educate their members as well on the benefits of stewardship, on why we're doing it, and work with associations to be able to promote it. The stewardship program is going to be successful if we all buy into it. Internally, it's probably going to be stressful for some, but ultimately, I think in the short and even into the longer term, it's truly going to help and change the thoughts of our community, and will help generations to come. You go every Sunday, you look at church, and particularly now in summer, and it's empty, right? There's not a lot of youth that goes. For the ones that do go, I applaud you all, right? But this is something that when people realize the benefits of what our church is and what our community is, will bring people back into the church, back into our community. So we can get 300, 400 volunteers at Grief Fest. So we can get more people in church. So we can get more people doing what we need to do. And, our stewardship team is, we're committed to this. We're going to be meeting on a monthly basis to be able to implement these programs. And, I implore you to ask questions and ask for more. So that's it. I think that's it. Yes.
So there be no questions.
Quick question. How will you be working with the membership committee? Because
it'll be kind of one and the same, kind of, sort of. Right.
No, because the bylaws clearly state, like, you're an ad hoc committee. I think this is to Jim's point of the General Assembly, and you'll have to have terms and references. But there's also a membership committee that the board of directors has, with, specific mandate in terms and so membership, so.
More than that, and I obviously don't know, we can talk about this at our next meeting, but realistically, I would envision them working in tandem, in parallel to each other, towards that same goal of driving membership. And that is one part of what the stewardship should be, is to help increase overall membership, which is what the ultimate goal of membership is.
Maybe I would say, just so that we can abide by the bylaws, that the board of directors form a membership committee that can have a sideline of stewardship.
Yep.
Because it's more important to abide by the bylaws.
What would have those discussions, is that through the next GA to formalize it, or could we do it as
No, that's the board of directors.
Board of directors, she's saying to have a formalized board of directors membership committee itself.
It doesn't have to, it wouldn't be.
It doesn't have to do with GA.
Okay.
Oh, it's my friend.
Hello. So, I was listening to what you were saying about giving from the heart, and I guess when it falls into play, and one of the reasons this has so much success in the States is that they're parishes, period. You know that if you've talked to the archdiocese there. In our case, and you brought up the word hybrid, and that's what made me think, is that would it be, and I'm not saying that I have the answer, and this is the golden answer, I'm just asking you perhaps to consider it. If we were to say that maybe stewards are just people that want to support the church, and maybe because they'll give from the heart, and I think that there are people that would come across with funds for the church that would otherwise wouldn't come across for funds for stewardship, and I think that that's part of the resistance we're having as well. Give from the heart to the operation of the banquet center. I don't know, it's not the same field. So I'm wondering if we can generate, just to consider it, Dean, just to consider it, just to consider.
The bald guy at the back, we happy you said that.
Yeah, pardon?
The bald guy at the back, we happy you said that.
Yeah, I apologize. And it's has to do with this. So, basically, if we could, that would only require us to provide that little section of the statement we talked about earlier, about the operation of the church, and provide all that money to go there, which in effect is happening from our members. If you see what people have, when they go in their wills and stuff, look at what they're doing. They see the church as the place where they want to give from the heart. So, I'm not saying that the whole idea of the HCO, which I'm an architect of, is the wrong idea, but I think that perhaps looking into maybe marrying the stewardship to just relate only to the church operation might give you better success. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think you're wrong, but I do think if you look at the makeup of our community, whether you're a member or not, you are going to have a third of the individuals that want to give solely to the church for whatever reason, whether it's membership, stewardship, whatever. You can have a third of individuals that only want to give to the HCO, to the community. Then you have another third of the individuals that are going to want to do both. And if I floated that for myself, and I think this is something we have to work out. In my mind, this is my gut check feel, you can't separate the church from the community, because if you do stewardship only for the community, and then the membership committee goes to that same person and says, hey, I need you to be a member of the community. They're like, well, I'm already giving to the church. How is my money not? I know they're different, but in someone's mind, in someone's mind, because they're giving there, they don't want to give here, right? And how do you differentiate? It's a larger discussion. Again, that's just my initial,
But it's something that we do need to talk about and flesh out and figure out. And Father James, I think, and Father Alice may have better answers.
I just want to make a comment that that graphic here, I've never seen that. This is a beautiful graphic, and you should be commended for that, because when we want to explain what the Hellenic community does in terms of membership, I think this is a perfect depiction in one slide. Very impressive. I just wanted to make that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flores and Margaret. That was not me. It does need updating, because I don't know if female radio is still around, and the musical is here. We're going to know what the last play that they did on Broadway, so I'm not sure. That's it.
The good of the HCO. Because I left for a couple of minutes, did you vote to keep the same committee?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good.
You're on it.
No. Believe me, I don't want to be on it. I just want to have continuation.
It's like 5 years, so you're not going anywhere.
Mr. Chairman, one of the black holes that exists in our community, and I brought it up at the last meeting, is the conflict of interest that exists with our banquet manager. Now, some people disagree with me, but I can assure you, after the last meeting when I brought it up, I don't know how many members spoke to me and agreed with me, old and young. People even called me at home to agree with me that a conflict of interest exists. That's a black hole. Not only is a conflict of interest bad in itself, it's bad because it has a very bad influence on members, because members see that and they say, that's the case. Here they have a man underpaid of $90,000 who hardly spends any time in this community, and they're looking for money, they're looking for support, and they're looking for whatever. So it becomes a big obstacle, in my humble opinion. And they told me I didn't finish the job, so I'm going to finish the job by making a motion that we form a search committee to immediately find a replacement for the banquet hall manager.
So that was discussed several times. I had 4 people, I won't mention who, but 3 of them are in the crowd tonight, saying they were absolutely going to do that. I gave them carte blanche to do that. Please, by all means, give me that community, because that's how the St. Elias does things. They have a committee of about 10, 15 people, and they run their events. I gave 2 people carte blanche to go ahead and do it. I've heard nothing.
Yeah, they came to me. I said, do it. I gave them carte blanche. Yeah, by all means.
You're gonna let somebody else do that.
They said they were going to do it. Go ahead. I've heard nothing.
Because we don't believe there's a conflict of interest. The board doesn't believe there's a conflict of interest.
You said there's 2 people came up to you?
Yeah.
Okay, did you follow up with them?
Yeah. I see them all. I talk. Okay. I speak with one constantly.
So what was the answer?
Nothing. They have nothing. They're not. One of them. The one that talks to knows is not here tonight.
Alex, another comment. You said the board doesn't agree. I'm sorry to say that there are many, many members that agree. It's a very divisive item right now in this community, and we don't need divisive items in this community. We need to be one, we need to be unified, we need to be pulling together, we need to be working together, we need to be giving together. It's an extremely divisive item. If you don't believe me, come with me and I'll take you around and show you people who agree with me that it is a divisive issue.
The only thing I'll say about Mr. Florkis is, since I've been on the board, let's call it, it doesn't matter who's in that chair, that person is crucified. Doesn't matter who. They are attacked from the seniors constantly. They're attacked by various associations constantly. It's not the person in the chair, it's the position. It's a difficult position to be in. The board ourselves have been constantly reviewing it, and it's something that at this time, we are comfortable with the positions that we have. Mind you, as we've mentioned, we are reviewing the entire business, not just our individuals. We're reviewing our entire business, and the positions are difficult to review when you're reviewing the structure of the HCO and the structure of our buildings. So we are reviewing all of it. However, as it states right now, we are comfortable with our employees. They're all doing a great job, and we are ensuring that there is no conflict of interest, where in fact, I feel that the conflict of interest has benefited the HCO in a sense. So when we can't find, we all know we're talking about Peter, okay? When we can't find staff, okay, he is sending staff to our kitchen for free, okay? There have been many accusations against Peter where people are watching him through windows when he walks out of the kitchen with a box of something, okay? Where people don't understand that the board knows of this, and there was a mistake in an order. So an order came to our facility instead. We're tracking all of it. It's not going dumb under our eyes. And I understand that it's a difficult situation. We've never had it. However, there are many people in this room who has kids who have jobs, who are also doing jobs on the side, who are working for the government, but have side gigs, right? Would that be a conflict of interest? Your time, right? I don't see, Peter's not in the banquet business. So I don't see a conflict of interest. There is maybe a conflict of time. I can understand that, but I don't see a conflict of interest. He's not taking business from the HCO. He's not benefited from being an employee of the HCO. That's how I feel.
Alex, I beg to differ. I have a Center Point magazine here, and guess who's at the cover? Peter. Talking about his restaurant, not talking about our banquet center, talking about his restaurant. Now, a banquet manager, in my opinion, any manager, has to work 50, 60 hours a week if they're managers. I was a manager, and I know other managers who work at least that, maybe longer. If I own a restaurant, I've got to work 50, 60 hours a week for my restaurant. Are you telling me he's able to work 120 hours a week? That is absolutely ridiculous. Who suffers because of that? The community suffers. It's a conflict of interest. Fix it.
So this is supposed to be for the good of the Hellenic community of Ottawa. So I think we have a board of directors that have a responsibility to make a decision. We put them up there, we give them that responsibility, they make the decision. We don't like it, next board of directors, you can vote in somebody else. So I'm not taking a position either way, but if there was a legal issue, they'd be talking to a lawyer. If there was something else, that's their responsibility, and we've mandated it. So we have to kind of move forward and go with what we've entrusted these people to make serious financial, legal, and it's a personnel issue, so with all due respect, we have to be a little more aware, cognizant, respectful about talking about people's livelihoods in this type of forum. So that's my comment on that. I would like to, for the good of the order of the community, I would like to ask the the bylaws committee formally to continue continue to review the next stage of building that motion on membership. I don't know if you've taken that as a message from when we discussed it. So for the good of the order, I would like to see what we can do to continue to grow the membership of the community of Ottawa, and we don't have restrictive conditions. Everything that we can do. So I'm asking for the good of the community. We look forward to maybe at the next General Assembly get an additional motion to go further if we can.
On that bookend, I move to close the meeting.
Can I say something for the good of the community? It's so sad that we are in such trouble with so many members. I think if we give $1,000 each, we'll be able to surpass this problem we're facing. That's my opinion. But going forward, I heard that for the demolition of the Maryland property, we need 43,000, right?
1335 property, the corner property.
Yeah, okay, I mean, whatever. So, I'm willing to donate $500 towards the project. If anybody else wants to donate, whatever they can, I think we can, collecting that money, we can pay for that demolition. That's all I want to say.
Io contasto il microfono.
Είχατε leftover 80 cases beer από πανηγύρι. Τις είχατε κλειδώσει εδώ στο δωμάτιο. Τις βλέπαμε κάθε μέρα. Οι πύρες αυτές τις αφήσατε, γίνανε expired. Εχθές είχατε εργάτες, τις βάλανε από εδώ πέρα και τις πηγαίνανε πίσω και τις αδειάσατε. Και μαζεύτηκε ο Ιμπίδα της γειτονιάς. Who's paying that expense? Και μετά ζητάτε membership. Αυτό βλέπει ο κόσμος και δεν ζητάει να πληρώσει. Ευχαριστώ.
Can I just make a point? I think a lot.
The beer was covered and paid for. Unfortunately, Mr. Matikaki, rules have changed. You can't just give out free alcohol to the seniors. So we had to throw it out, right? You've tried to come up and get free alcohol.
Why don't give it to the people?
We're not allowed.
The members.
We're not allowed. You can't give out free alcohol that has been purchased on a liquor license. The rules have changed. I'm sorry. It's not the old days. And the beer was expired, so everyone knows. And it was covered by a donation from Big Rig, and that's it.
So to finish this off, we actually put out a feeler to see, let's try to sell the beer at a really ridiculous price. And we were told, absolutely not. You just can't promote the sale of beer. So it was a whole thing. It was too much trouble that it's worth. Risk losing our liquor license. Stop it. Like, it wasn't worth the hassle. And the beer was already expired. Yeah.
I just want to say, you heard some of the comments in response to what you said. You know, it is a very controversial issue. You know, it's a personnel matter. Would you like to maybe withdraw your motion and talk to the board about it? Because I think it's better to deal with it outside of an open forum, particularly with anybody personnel issues. I feel uncomfortable about raising issues like that.
Since I think the world of Viva City, I'll take your suggestion. Thank you.
So this, I think this was the last item under that we're going to do here, and so can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
It was right done.
Sorry?
Jim did it. Jim Rickey did it.
Second. Okay. In favor? Carry.
Please don't forget.